Yes.
I heard that you were really poorly this week. Are you okay?
Yeah, I think I got the mock flu. I got given some tablets, so it should be all right now.
Oh, cool. Which doctor gave you those?
I can't believe I go along with these intros.
I know. I get more terrible as we progress towards the end of the season.
I love
So
them, but still.
I'm sorry, I'll stop. So, good evening, ladies and gentlebots, and welcome to the episode 15 edition of the Shuntcast. And on this week's episode, we have a very special Andrea Gellatly.
Hello, hello.
How are we doing, Andrea?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Yeah, not so bad. It's a Sunday evening here in the UK at the moment. I presume it's daytime in Florida.
Yeah, it's earlier here, I guess.
How are you doing, Dale?
I'm very good, yes. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes.
We do amazing intros on this show.
Yes.
We don't. I'm lying. So what we'll do, we'll kick straight off into the fights because that's territory we're slightly better at, only
Yes.
marginally. So first up on the top 16, we had Sawblaze versus Son of Waiarchi. This for me was an edge of your seat fight and a great kickoff to the episode. Had no idea which way it was going to go for most of it. Sawblaze was keeping up the aggression to stop Son of Waiarchi spinning up, but Son of Waiarchi was coming back from it every time until Sawblaze eventually cut one of the tie rods, and then it was kind of all downhill for that for Son of Fire Archie. I'm I'm so
Oh
sorry.
dear.
I'm so sorry. Did you enjoy this fight, Dale?
I did, yes. It was not the usual Son of Waiarchi fight. Normally it's one hit and over, but Thor Blaze was like, sorry, did you hit me? And then it was like, come right back at him. Yeah, good to watch. And I liked when Chris Rose said Son of Waiarchi. Quite funny.
Oh, that was
That was a good one, but your one was quite good as well. I'll let you off.
I've actually started watching BattleBots with captions on now because there's so many subtleties, like you said, Son of Waiauchi, that I would never get if it wasn't on subtitles. Some of Farouk's intros too. So now with the closed captions, I feel like I get all the jokes. But this was definitely a fight we were watching really closely because we were going to fight the winner of it if we won our fight.
Oh yeah, of course.
So usually we don't get to see a lot of the fights, but this was one we definitely made sure that Mike watched. And before, I actually saw a lot of people thinking that Sao was going to win pretty significantly. And, Sawblaze is always one to watch out for because that's a tough spot.
I must admit, I think I had Jamieson down for this fight purely because Sawblaze is pretty tanky and Jamieson is just such a good driver, and there's a lot to be said for a well-driven bot. Would you agree, Dale?
Torblade has been quite a well-driven robot in the last 2 seasons, so not surprising that they did win.
We should probably have warned Andrea that you just say yes throughout the
Pretty much,
Shuntcast.
yes.
So, Andrea, your warning is Dale just says yes, pretty much.
Yes.
We will move on to Bite Force versus Uppercut, which resulted in a KO, which was unsurprising, really. The reigning champ versus the rookie. Uppercut's Alex is a really good driver, actually, himself. So I didn't think this fight would be a total slaughter, but then Bite Force does what Bite Force does, and Uppercut did the vert thing by getting stuck on its front. Like, F.
I'm a bit salty about it. I feel like they should have tried to hit Uppercut again. I thought it was quite a boring way to win, to be fair. Understandable. Obviously, you need to win, get through to the final, but just boring to watch, to be honest. But fair enough.
Did Uppercut have the fist on this fight?
I don't believe it did, no.
I'm sad. I mean, I know it's Bite Force, and against Bite Force,
Yeah.
you know, if you've got different setups, you're obviously going to use your optimal setup against Bite Force.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see more of the fist before the end of the competition.
Yes, you like fisting.
You're so rude. Andrea, before Dale gets any ruder, did you enjoy this fight?
Yeah, I can't help but root for the underdog, and this was as underdog as they come, I think, against Bite Force. I think they had a chance. They got off to a good start. I think the fact that Bite Force left them stuck the way they did. I mean, Byforce doesn't underestimate anybody, so it's kind of almost a token of respect that he feared the robot enough to take the win, because if he kept the match going, he might lose. But I agree. I would have liked to see it keep going, especially in the tournament. But there's a lot of fights on the way to the giant nut, so I can't blame Paul for saving his robot and ending it short.
It's true. I mean, in the top 16, I'd have done the same thing. If it was a fight card match, I probably would have bumped them over and said, come on, let's have some more. But in the top 16, it's serious business, isn't it?
Yeah, and we saw it cost Hypershock the tournament when they got huge out of the screws. And they didn't want to leave him there. They didn't want to end the fight like that, so they hit him again and got him out, and it cost them their tournament chances. So it could definitely go both ways.
Oh yeah, it did the same for Breaker Box as well, because they unstuck Hypershock.
Yep, absolutely. So definitely a lot of sportsmanship going on, but it's always risky.
Yeah, never count on sportsmanship in the top 16. We will go on to Death Roll versus Yeti, which resulted in another KO. This was less of a Yeti smash and more of a Yeti jiggle, actually. I'd like to ask any particularly observant viewers if Yeti spent more time on its side during this fight than on all four wheels, because I'm sure some hawk-eyed viewer has spotted this and knows this data. We're full of nerds in this community. There must be somebody who knows this. So if you do, come forward. Death Roll has seriously impressed me this season. I'm sure Dale's got bored of me saying it by this point. And this fight was no exception, really, was it?
I think Death Roll, everybody's saying that Death Roll surprising them, but I think they're surprising themselves too. You could see in every post-fight interview, they're as shocked to have won as anybody else is. But yeah, they're a serious robot. It's really been my favorite triumph story, because I think nobody expected them to be undefeated this long, and they're hitting really hard. They are not getting lucky wins. But as far as Yeti, this could have been a win for Yeti, but I think they got so stuck on trying to self-right so that their weapon would be effective that, like you said, they spent so much time on their side. But do you want to be driving upside down with no weapon? That's not necessarily would have been any better, but they were in a tough spot there.
Smashing strategy didn't work out for Greg so much this fight.
No,
I think they both had the same strategy.
This is true. They both had that same strategy, and Death Roll came out on top.
Really tiny. I'm not even sure it weighs a full 250 pounds.
We'll see you in a while, Crocodile. Oh dear, terrible.
You are. Get your coat. Yes. That's not a joke. I'm sorry, I'll get mine as well. We'll move on to Tombstone versus Quantum. And this was a one-hit slaughter, so press F for Quantum. If anybody on Shuntposting has seen my Oh Miss Fortuna video, which features Ray saying he'll kill Quantum and try to cut the head off, they'll understand that I'm a little sad that no such beheading happened. I'm sure that the engineering porn lovers will scoff at me for wanting to see Quantum get beheaded, but those people should remember my reaction to seeing Nellie's face get smashed in, which was one of laughter, and that's my own robot. So somebody else's robot, right? It's Giggle Central. It didn't get beheaded, but it is a beautiful machine, so we'll let it off. Did you enjoy this one-hit slaughter, Dale?
For what it was, I did, yeah. But obviously, when it comes to Tombstone, you want to see a lot more. But yeah, it's kind of over too quickly to really have any other opinion about it, really.
Yeah,
just one hit, self-right, and then done.
I struggled for things to write about this fight, really. I mean, if BattleBots was rolling with, the evil Ray story, this is an excellent fight to use as an example of Ray slaughtering his opponents mercilessly, but not so good for Quantum. No, maybe it was like, do you think, I'm going to go out on a sneaky here, do you think maybe it was the producers paying Quantum back for Blacksmith?
It could have been, yeah.
It's just like, you caused us all this extra arena work, right? So we're going to feed you to Tombstone. I'd have happily taken their place. They can feed Nelly to Tombstone. I would do that.
I know you would. You're crazy.
Producers, if you're listening, Nelly versus Tombstone 2020. But here we are. It's Tombstone versus Quantum. Andrea, did you enjoy watching Quantum get slaughtered, or were you sad?
I was sad that it just kind of stopped working. Like you said, there was no real crazy damage. It's just, I mean, something must have broken inside. And obviously, we're in the bracket, right? So we're kind of biased in the way we're rooting for teams now because we're rooting for the winners to be the robots that we prefer to fight. And it's tough here. Do we prefer to fight Tombstone or Quantum? Quantum's not a joke. Nobody's really ready to fight Quantum. So, I was hoping it'd be a closer fight than it was for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were thinking maybe this fight could potentially go quite a long way, but it was a one-hit slaughter. F for Quantum.
Yes, F.
We will move on to the fight that I am the most saltiest about. Huge versus Whiplash, which ended in a judge's decision that went in favour of Whiplash. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very salty about this fight. Like, no shade on either team because, I blame the rules, not the players. But the inconsistency is just becoming really annoying now, to be honest. Like, Whiplash was extremely well driven and kept up the aggression on Huge, no doubt about that. But it lost its spinner fairly early on in the match. And Huge caused most of the damage and was pretty aggressive itself. So I don't understand it at all. It's so inconsistent. Wow. And I feel like the wrong bot got given the win, and that's no shade on Whiplash at all, but I'm confused.com now. Judges, help me out here. I should blame the producers because the judges are just doing the rules they're given. But are you salty about it, Dale?
I think I've given up with the judges' decisions anymore now because I mean I've been salty about 6 times and then it's just got to the point where whatever. But I mean I'm more salty about the fact that was a hell of a fight, but there's no real highlights. It was just good pushing and shoving and driving. There was no damage as such apart from the tire. But
I thought
there's nothing to talk about for 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought it was a really good brawl because, I mean, Huge started off, causing that damage to Whiplash, and I think viewers could have been forgiven for thinking, "Way, this is Huge's battle." It's all over for Whiplash at this point. But Whiplash made such a comeback from that.
Yeah.
Andrea, what did you think of this fight?
I thought Whiplash had won the fight when I saw it. I think it came down to the aggression points and. I mean, it's impossibly close, but Whiplash's strategies just worked so well and so cleanly. Like you said, when they met up in the first 30 seconds of the match, it looked like it was going towards Huge, but after that, they just turned it around. When the matches are this close, don't let it go to the judges.
This is true. The fatal mistake is letting it go to the judges. Al Kindle knows about this.
Just about.
Never let it go to the judges. Okay, we will move on to Witch Doctor versus Blacksmith, rematch of the season for me. Like, if there's a rematch I was looking forward to this season, it was this one. I hoped this fight would happen, and I'm so glad that it did. I wonder how pleased Al Kindle is that it actually didn't go to the judges.
It's funny you say that because last year when we fought Al and Blacksmith, it was actually Witch Doctor's first ever judge's decision with Blacksmith, and it was very, very close. So this year we were very focused on don't let it go to the judges because we didn't think we'd get the call 2 years ago.
Yeah, you didn't. I have to say, actually, I was going to kick off this with Dale and I are going to give Witch Doctor a round of applause because there are very few bots which can KO a bot like Blacksmith. Like, Blacksmith pretty much always goes to the judges because it's just so bloody well armored and so durable and so reliable. So there we go.
Yeah.
If I could stand up right now, I would, but there's a low ceiling and I can't. But yeah, standing ovation because Witch Doctor is kicking ass this season. I'm so impressed with it. You must have felt so amazing after this fight. I mean, you KO'd Blacksmith. Seriously, there are few robots and builders who can say they can do that.
Yeah, Blacksmith is a crazy good bot. Definitely probably the most durable in the sport. I think that's why he has so many judges' decisions, is because he always lasts the full 3 minutes. But yeah, so last year we fought him. We couldn't really do too much damage to him, and that really was the trigger for us to redesign Witch Doctor's weapon in the way that we did. It was because, Blacksmith has really hard vertical steel panels that we just couldn't get a bite on it. So in a lot of ways, that match inspired the redesign of Witch Doctor. So the fact that we got to fight him again was crazy coincidence, because there's so many bots that you usually don't fight the same robot twice.
Yeah.
But still, Al took us to, I think it was like 2.5 minutes. And he
didn't go down without a fight.
Yeah.
I have to ask though, was it all that you've got?
So we didn't say that there. It's loud and there's a lot going on. But when we were watching it, we had a viewing party for it. Mike and I just looked at each other like, okay, maybe we don't feel so bad, because we were kind of like, we didn't really have to go back in. Like, he was done. We got a couple of hits because he kept moving. So for us, if the robot keeps moving, then you kind of keep hitting it. That's, he wasn't being counted out. And, looking at it again, I was careful to like, did we go too far? And then they zoom in on Al saying that. I was like, oh, no, we're good.
Instant guilt eliminator. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty funny that they actually brought up Screwgate and called it that. I thought that production would have not wanted to bring that back up. It was definitely a controversy. So, I'm sure Mike was trying extra hard to get Al on the screws this time.
That would have been poetic justice.
Yeah, it didn't end that way, but we almost got him up on the screws.
I mean, but you got a KO though on Blacksmith, and that's just bravo.
And our robot didn't smoke, so
this is also true.
Yes, we had a no smoking sign at the beginning of that match, and
I love that.
It transferred the smoke over to Blacksmith, so I'll take it.
Oh, awesome. Speaking of smoking robots, we'll move on to Lockjaw versus Black Dragon. And actually, this fight is one where I'm glad I'm not a judge, because Lockjaw was dominating at first. Black Dragon was spending a lot of time upside down. But then Lockjaw's weapon died, and Black Dragon was stepping up the aggressions, try and claw back some points with the judges. By the time the fight ended, I literally had just no clue which way it would go.
It was pretty good. I'm gonna miss the duck though, but
oh, that's
but
true.
Yeah,
there's no Bono duck.
Yes. But yeah, no, the fight was good. You wouldn't want to be a judge calling it. It was too close, but
it really was.
One had to lose, and it's unfortunate. The duck's gone.
I feel like if it had gone either way, I would have been okay. Like I'm okay with Lockjaw winning, and if they'd given it to Black Dragon, I'd have equally been okay with it. Like, I definitely wouldn't have been salty, and certainly not in the way I was, salty about Huge.
I think it was a really good balanced fight. I was impressed with Lockjaw. I think it's probably the best we've seen him work. He was getting some really big hits. But yeah, like you said, close judges' decisions. I think seeing judges' decisions like this in the top 16 shows just how closely matched everybody really is.
Yeah.
These are really, really close matches against some top robots, so it's intense.
It really is. Although Lockjaw does need to give up smoking. It's not going in their favor.
Give them our sign.
But at least it was a fight that went the distance, right? Unlike Minotaur versus Hydra, this was a blink and you miss it fight. I mean, I'm sad to see one of the few non-spinners of the top 16 out so soon, but it's nothing but brutality really at this stage, isn't it? Minotaur just savaged Hydra, and there's probably a few loyal Branko fanboys having a gloat about that. But there we go. Dale, did you blink and miss it, or did you see it?
No, I watched it. I saw it. Yeah. Minotaur didn't start the season the way anyone expected, but they're back to on, the way we expect them to see. It's just,
Mm.
you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm kind of a bit confused about the Desperado tournament, to be fair, because I thought it was like you enter it and then if you lose, you're out. But they seem to sort of come back in anyway. So
I assumed that, but they never specified that, I guess.
yeah,
And I guess also, I mean, you got to remember it's a selection committee, and it's not just based on the results of this season. I guess previous performances are going to be taken into account, and Minotaur was the runner-up last year, so
Yeah, so last year we had thought about doing the Desperado tournaments just because we were, I think, like 2-1 at the time of the Desperado tournament. And we asked that question. We said, if we lose, do we have to finish out our fights? Or even if we win, do we have to finish out our fights? And they said yes. And we just weren't prepared to have that many fights, so we didn't enter it. But even last year, it wasn't like an exception for Minotaur. It was clear to us last year that if the Desperado are extra fights, you still have to do your qualifying fights.
yeah. I didn't enter the Desperado for the simple reason that I couldn't afford enough plastic to survive the Desperado fight. And it takes like nearly 3 hours at least to heat gun them into the dome shapes, because there isn't an oven big enough at BattleBots. I'm going to petition producers for this. Can we have a massive oven at BattleBots next year, please? But we'd have just never made new heads in time. And then when we saw, Endgame was in it, Minotaur was in it, Black Dragon was in it, it was like, yeah, no, not gonna do that.
Yeah, it is
Good.
not an easy way to get in the top 16.
Absolutely not. It was. I think last year's roster for it was a lot easier than this year's roster for it. I mean, with Minotaur and Endgame in it, straight up was just and then the rest of them were just nope. Gonna go with nope. We'll hang on for some exhibition fights and hope for the best at this point. There we go. That's the fights concluded. So we're going to move on to the Shuntposting Awards for the episode. And first up, we have the John Reed Good Hit of the Night Award, which is fairly self-explanatory. We have 3 nominations for this one. We have Saw Blaze's Tie Road Travesty, the KO of Blacksmith by Witch Doctor, because I mean, you got so many hits in on that thing. We can't possibly single it down to one. So we're just gonna go with the whole fight for that one. And Tombstone's one-hit assassination of Quantum. So Dale, I'll come to you first. Which one would you like to go for?
oh dear. I want to say Tombstone, but I also want to say Witch Doctor.
Just a warning, Andrea, voting for yourself is permitted. Al Kindle does it all the time. So
yes. I'll go for Tombstone.
Okay, one for Tombstone. Andrea, who would you like to vote for?
What was the first one again?
Saw Blaze's Tie Road Travesty against Son of Waiachi, and then Witch Doctor, and then Tombstone.
I think Saw Blaze. It's kind of like the perfect shot, It was unbalanced a spinner. It was a hit that only Saw Blaze could do. Very hard for another robot to do that. So, yeah, I'd give it to Saw Blaze. 3-way split on this.
I think I'm going to have to side with Andrea, actually, because I wanted Tombstone to behead Quantum. If Tombstone had beheaded Quantum, it hands down would have won this for me.
It would have won the whole series.
Yeah, just give it the collective good hit award for the whole series. But yeah, Saw Blaze's hit was just so well done, and compared to how long the fight had gone on for up until that point, it went downhill so quickly after that fight. That was an absolute game changer. So I'm gonna go with Saw Blaze. So congratulations, Saw Blaze! Woo-hoo! You win the John Reed Good Hit of the Night Award for episode 15. That leads us on to the Salt Powered Robot Award, which is for anything controversial or just anything that made you feel salty. So we have 2 nominations for this one. the Huge versus Whiplash judges decision, and the Black Dragon versus Lockjaw judges decision. Because my powers of investigation on the internet tell me that people are salty about these two things. So, Andrea, I'll come to you first this time. Who would you like to give the Salt Powered Robot Award to?
I think Whiplash and Huge was closer.
I mean, with the little rant I did earlier, I think it's fairly obvious who I'm going to vote for. So we'll go to Dale.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's Huge and Whiplash.
Well, then, unlike that decision, this is a unanimous one. Congratulations, Huge and Whiplash.
Hey.
You win the Salt Powered Robot Award for episode 15. And that leaves us with the Shunty McShuntpost Award for the most memeable in the episode. First up, we have Al Kindle, Is That All You've Got? Second, we have Ray Kills Quantum. And lastly, we have Chris Loves It. Because I knew you were going to make a gif out of that moment, Dale, and you didn't disappoint.
I know, yes.
So, Dale, who would you like to go for?
Well, since you said it and it did happen, I'm going to have to say Chris Rose because I love it.
Andrea, who would you like to give it to?
I'm going to go for Al because I just want to see those memes.
I got to say, I love an Al Kindle, and we got some amazing facial expressions off of Al Kindle in the last 2 episodes. So congratulations, Al Kindle.
Yay.
You get the Shanty McShuntpost Award for episode 15. I have a question, Dale. I think Al Kindle has possibly got the most Shuntposting awards now.
Probably, yeah.
For the end of the series, I will go back and count them and count who's got a lot of awards. Railgun Max is another one. They've got some. Yeah. They've got a few good hit awards and Salt Powered Robot awards.
Yeah.
I'm just quoting random statistics at people because nobody really cares about this stuff but us, really.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just in my own little world. So we will move on to the members' questions section. We post a Google form to the Shuntposting Facebook group, and our group members send in questions for our guest. So first up, Andrea, your first question is, do you have voodoo dolls of other robots?
We did it of Yeti one year. It didn't work, so we didn't try it again. So in our fight, Gigabyte, I actually turn on, or I hit the start switch with the Gigabyte fidget spinner.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah.
John had given me right before the match, and a lot of people actually commented thinking that that was a voodoo doll. I was like, it wasn't, but maybe it should be.
Stick some needles in it next year.
Yeah.
Next question. What's the highest speed of the drum spinner this season?
It's varied a little bit. It was geared pretty close to 250 miles an hour at the start of the tournament. We slowed it down before a Gigabyte fight to try to stop blowing it up. And then we changed motors actually for the top 16. So it's kind of been all over the place. I'd say it's somewhere between 200 and 250 now. But it is slower now that we're in the top 16.
Question 3. Would you consider making a full body spinner in the shape of your team hats?
That's a funny question. I don't know if you guys know that I used to compete full body spinners a lot. So in high school, I built full body spinner 2 of those years, and then all in college, I also competed a full body spinner with Mike actually. So I have a special place in my heart for full body spinners. My Beetle weight is a full body spinner. I have never built one shaped like a hat, but maybe I should. I like that idea.
I like that idea. I want to see this.
Get ahead of the game. Ahead of the game.
Dale.
But I think we can make.
When Bugglebots?
I have been told not to ask that question. I'm afraid of the consequences.
It gets asked pretty much every guest on every Shuntcast. It's somebody submits it every time, and it's just become a thing.
Since we're a meme group, we may as well make it a meme.
This is true.
Yes.
Question 5. How does it feel to be repping the girl power in the top 16 again?
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, you know. I think people are definitely looking at us a little closer because of that. But honestly, like during the actual competing, I don't think about it at all. We're just fighting robots like everybody else is. But yeah, I'd love to win that giant nut. And you know, when someone gets told they build robots like a girl, I hope it, you know, they're thinking of Witch Doctor.
My son loves Witch Doctor. When the episode with us fighting Deep Six was on, he got to get out of bed at 1 a.m, which is when it starts over here, and come and watch it with us. And he has not shut up about Witch Doctor ever since, because you were in the same episode as us on that. And yeah, so when I'm next in America, I'm hopefully going to be coming back with a Witch Doctor X bug, because kiddo's definitely going to be wanting this. He's got a little tombstone, but he wants a Witch Doctor.
Next question. What inspired the voodoo aesthetic?
We get that question a lot, and we don't actually have a really good answer for it. So, Witch Doctor used to be a middleweight robot, so 120 pounds, before I was even on the team. So, Mike and Paul, and actually Adam Burku from Brutus, were on that team. And they were just spitballing ideas, and that was one of them really late at night one day, and everybody thought it sounded like a good idea. I love the theme because it's different and it's not overly like serious and destructive, so we can have some fun with it.
I like it. When we had Farouk on the Shuntcast, he said that Witch Doctor was one of his favorite robots to introduce because he gets to get all spooky and kooky, which is just so wholesome. You're Farouk's favorite robot, man. That's just awesome.
Yeah, his intros are great. I think part of the best part of making it to the top 16 is we get more of those intros, so they're getting more and more creative with us now.
Oh, that's so true. Okay, your next question is a little game of beat, defeat, judges. This is kind of like Snog, Marry, Avoid, but you can beat one, you can be defeated by one, and one goes to the judges. And your 3 robots are the 4 Horsemen, Daisy Cutter, and Duck.
So
you beat one, you lose to one, and one goes to the judges.
Okay. I think Duck would be a clear choice for the who we'd lose to. And then you said it was 4 Horsemen or Daisy Cutter?
Yes.
Say 4 Horsemen goes to the judges. So Daisy Cutter would be the
one to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, I said
robots to fight.
I mean, yeah, I said 3 robots, but it's more like 7 with the 4 Horsemen.
Next question. What caused the smoking in your previous fights this season?
Oh, yes. A lot of smoke has come out of Witch Doctor. It's been our weapon motors every single time. So we have 2 short mag motors for weapon. And once one blows up, the other one blows up because it doesn't have enough power to spin the weapon by itself. And they just become a melty, gooey mess inside. All the enamel melts into the bearings, and it's a mess. It's a terrible failure mode. But in all our testing, we did a ton of testing, and we didn't see that at all. But our testing did not involve fighting whiplash or throwing gigabyte. So hard to get a real idea of those things. So for the top 16, we actually took our spare drive motors, which are long mag motors, and used them for weapon as well. So we won't be seeing any fire in the tournament because of that. We needed the extra weight for it.
We have a question from Special Agent Rara, so I have to don the accent for this one. Your big spin is very scary, like skeleton. But what is Witch Doctor scared of?
Is it wrong to say bite force? I feel like bite force.
I mean, to be fair, most people are probably scared of bite force. It just clinically slaughters everybody.
And it's funny because you'd think like we should be more afraid of Tombstone, but like there's a strategy for Tombstone, right? Everybody puts on a big wedge and you can kind of like defend against Tombstone. But how do you defend against Bite Force? They've been undefeated for 2 whole seasons, right? It's crazy.
You should be Chomp.
Yeah.
And Dale has your last question.
I do, yes. What would be your dream match?
Ooh. I would say fighting Blacksmith, where he uses his fire hammer a lot. The 2 times that we fought him, for some reason, like he's just been a little conservative, I guess, and he hasn't been trying to hammer us. But I love that fire hammer. I want to see it going all the time. We put fire-proof cloth in our robot because I was so hoping for a lot of fire hammer. So yeah, any excuse to see the fire hammer is a good one. So
I do love the fire hammer.
Yeah.
There's been some absolutely amazing photos this season with Al's fire hammer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I aspire to that level of cool.
You aspire for the fire.
Oh, I do. Well, that is the end of the members' question section, and I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of the Shuntcast.
Ah.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show. Do you have any last shout outs or anything you'd like to do?
No, we're fighting Sawblaze next. It's definitely a scary fight, so we'll see what happens.
We wish you the best of luck with that one.
Yes.
We wish good luck to everybody in this competition.
To be fair, yeah.
It's scary, crazy destruction at this point. There's not a single robot in the top 16 I wouldn't fear, to be fair. But there we go. Well, it's goodbye from Dale.
Bye-bye.
It's goodbye from Andrea.
Bye, everyone.
And it's goodbye from the Queen. Goodbye.